Well, here we are. I don't know if you're there. I know I am. I don't know. Whirly's here. It's a pretty full house tonight, according to the statistics. Um, so that's nice, and people from all around the world. What a privilege to be in this position. First of all, I don't take it for granted. I was thinking about because what we're looking at really when we're talking about miracles is kind of tapping into the miracle flow in order to manifest what we need with ease, or what we're intending really with ease. And it's a very, very, very complex topic. It's so nuanced and there's so many paradoxes involved in it that, obviously we could talk about it for months and never really come to kind of clear conclusions about how it all works and what have you. So it's a sort of an experiment in process and in progress. And well, for me, it's been, I don't know how long you used to take it back for, because I was really aware of being able to do this stuff when I was a small kid. But for me, it really started in earnest in Hong Kong when I was 19, when I went specifically there to learn how to do it. Because when I was a young hippie, when I was in my early teens, what Taoism was famous for was its magic. People used to talk about Taoist magic. They hadn't even heard of Tai Chi. I don't know anyone would be talking about Tai Chi yet. Or Qigong, these things haven't really surfaced, but Taoist magic had. Interesting, eh? That's what it was known for. And so it had an allure to me. But because I've been doing Aikido since I was a boy, and Aikido is the Japanese version of Tai Chi, the Tao, Aiki, Tao, so Do, same thing. It kind of resonated for me. I like that kind of clean Eastern Oriental thing, as much as I enjoyed the colourful romance of the Hindu iconography, which is really the main bulk of the kind of hippie view. Excuse me. I will get my erudition will increase and, as I go along. This is important now because not just for ourselves individually, because we don't live in isolation. We're interdependent with all of humanity, and this is becoming clearer and clearer. And albeit that there is this strange, but I suppose inevitable regression in reaction to this, where you have groups wanting to hide themselves off from the collective, countries becoming independent, wanting to be separate from larger bodies and so on. The fact is that we are totally interdependent. The way we trade, the way we shift our goods and chattels about the place, the way we disperse the energy and so on and so forth, it is really totally global. And although obviously globalization, as any movement of people, is going to not be ideal. There's nothing ideal in the manifest world. There will always be the yin and the yang. There'll always be the problems. What it did bring with it, and I say did because it's kind of in question now whether it can continue like this. What it did bring with it was a global mindset. By the end of the 90s, there was a clear acceptance by the collective and pretty much worldwide that the, should we call it the spiritual ethic, or the spiritual direction was what counted, and that collective consciousness was important, and that we could all really enjoy this if we allowed ourselves to. That there was a problem, but it was recognized already that you couldn't have perpetual economic growth because the resources are running out. But there was already lots of talk about how to channel the resources differently, how to combat the pernicious effects of global warming through technology. And I say technology, things like massive football fields of seaweed floating on the ocean, about 500 of them, that would absorb enough carbon to cool it down. Or MIT came up with painting all the roads and roofs of America white. That would be enough to reflect the sunlight back to cool the planet by 2 degrees. These were all, well, they didn't get anywhere. Nobody was willing to part with the money for it at that point, because really back in the late 90s, and I used to do it. I mean, if you used to go around and say to people, we're going to be in trouble, you know, give it 20, 30, 40 years. The way we're going, the amount of shit we're putting into the air, that we are going to be in trouble. I mean, and people would think, oh, come on, get off it. What's wrong with you? Stop being so gloomy. You know, it's fine. It's not going to happen. It won't be anywhere near in our lifetimes, as if that was all right somehow. Like trash the place and move on. And I guess that was kind of common. So people weren't able to get the investment. And unfortunately, right now, they're still not. So there's loads of shit being talking about, you know, how we need to stop doing this and stop doing that and stop doing this. And we're not stopping anything. You know, we're all doing this just as much, and there's no sign we're going to stop any of it. But there's no, or that I know of, great thrust towards investing in solutions that will actually do something. This is surprising to me. I'd like to promote that. So if you know anybody who makes decisions like that, tell them there's quite a few brilliant ideas out there that could really work, and they're worth trying. It'd be better putting the energy in that than in becoming puritanical about it all, which isn't going to work anyway. Yeah, we need miracles right now, in short, because along with this burgeoning challenge, should we call it, of our very life support system being in question, and the very land which we stand on being waterlogged before long, the social unrest, the polarization of society is reaching quite melodramatic levels, and it's to the point where it seems almost unlikely that an actual conversation could occur between two parties, whether it's two people or two countries or two groups, whatever, who had differing views on any particular subject. Now it's become a shouting match between, no, this is right, no, this is right, no, this is, oh, you're bad because you think that, no, you're bad because you know, that's where it's got to. It's kind of like children, well, yeah, it is like kids at school, really, before they understand that we don't live in a Cartesian reality where it's either this or that. We live in a reality where it's this and that. And it would be really lovely to think we could retrieve the wisdom that we kind of developed by the end of the 90s. I don't know if anyone remembers it. I don't know if you're old enough to remember it, but I do. If we could retrieve that, the tolerance that came with it, the understanding that came with it, and I'd say above all, the empathy, because if you look at the media and the way the media encourages this sort of thing, this kind of gossip, basically, so-and-so did so-and-so, and you don't really know if they did or they didn't. The story looks like they did, but you don't really know. But everyone immediately assumes they did it. And then there's this huge amount of schadenfreude, really trying to destroy that person who did it, or maybe didn't, but they say they did it. And I really lament that, because I think that we need to develop empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of the other. And that gives you a perspective where you're not judging anymore. It's based on this idea, you know, Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage, all of us are actors. Well, it's true. This is some big, vast show that we're in. It's not us who, in our local kind of state, that write the show. The show is written by our big selves behind the scenes. And it's a sort of archetypal mystery play. And somebody's got to play the bad guy. Somebody's got to play the hero. Somebody's got to play the victim. You know, there are set roles that have to be played. And when you see somebody playing the role of the villain and apparently getting away with it, and you get angry with them and you are disparaging of them and you judge them harshly, which is, you know, what we tend to do, it's very healthy to, as an alternative to that, put yourself in their shoes. And it's creepy because there are some people out there that I look at and go, you know, on the world stage, I'm not going to mention names, there's no point, but you know who I'm talking about, who I despair of when I watch them, or kind of, I don't know. But then instead of judging them, I'm learning to put myself in their shoes. And when I do that, I realize, wow, a scary, difficult place to be this is. And at least I have to admire the person's courage for playing that role with such conviction, even if the actual character is quite like shoddy and like second-rate, mediocre crap. You know, but they play it with great conviction. And I admire that, and I feel for people. That helps me realize that the whole lot of us is an organism that I'm part of. And I don't want to feel I don't want to feel antagonism towards the whole. I want to feel a sense of inclusion and love for everyone. I feel better when I'm doing that. And it's not just on a personal level. I can feel the whole field coming from my heart is cleaner when I'm considering everybody as part of my family. It hurts because people do things that I find really abhorrent, but they're still part of my family. And that way I take part of the collective responsibility for everything that happens, rather than succumb to this, the other way, which is what we're seeing prevalent now, is the scapegoating blame game, which is a dangerous place to be, because in the 30s it resulted in the Holocaust, for example, and that comes from scapegoating, rather than taking responsibility, collective responsibility for everything that's happening, rather than blaming politicians, bankers, the so-called elite, blah blah blah. Take responsibility, collective co-responsibility for everything, and it gives you a sense of power. And I don't mean megalomaniac power, I mean genuine power. You feel plugged into the source of everything. You feel somehow that you then have agency to affect the collective. And yeah, I may see it as a sort of metaphysical activism. I'm not suggesting that flesh and, like real life activism doesn't have its place. It does, of course. But this metaphysical activism is possibly, I don't know, more powerful. And this is what we do in here. Collectively, we focus our intention for a shift to occur in the collective, a benign shift, and it has an effect. I can't prove it because it's subjective, of course, and I'm not asking you to take my word for it even, but what I do notice is that after one of these sessions, some interesting kind of change in the warp and weft of the daily story occurs. I mean, of course, look, it's all very subjective, but at times that's all we've got to, in fact, always it's all we've got to go on. You can't experience reality objectively because you affect the field by observing it. And you only ever actually get to see what happened a second ago. You can't keep up with the actual now because there's a lag, there's a delay. So it's all totally subjective, in other words. But we do feel, we get a sense of feeling what is real, what is somehow the Tao moving rather than some convolution caused by its superficial expression, i.e. people. Forgive me if I'm starting to sound a little bit highfalutin there. Yeah. So what I'm looking at is manifesting what we intend to manifest without being a greedy git, without being graspy, horrible, needy. So it becomes, what they call spiritual materialism. But because you're being elegant, you're being gracious, graceful in having your will clear. My will is, for example, right now, to enrich you, to warm you, to support you, to encourage you, i.e. to leave you feeling filled with courage, to help you feel optimistic and proud to be a human, to help you feel excited to be on the planet at this time, as opposed to afraid and judgmental about humanity and what have you. That's my will, that's my intention. And I'm not going to do it by preaching, because that would be the external way. And it would be rude of me to presume that I should put my kind of thoughts on you like that. Well, I do it purely by intention. The love in my heart is informed with that intention, and it naturally radiates to you while I'm talking. And then that has the effect. And I don't have to do anything specific for it. Interesting, I'm just going to say this, the communication that we have with each other seems to all be about the words that we're speaking. And I'm not denying that words are powerful, of course they are. The shape of the sounds that are coming out, of course they're powerful, because that's how we consciously connect with each other. But at the subconscious level, the soul level, which is far deeper and more intelligent than we're aware of, than it is, certainly more intelligent than this front brain kind of intellect, believe it or not. The communication between us at the soul level occurs physically through the sound waves, through the actual sound wave, the sound of the voice, the sound of each syllable, rather than the shape of the words. I would actually, in experiments I've done with people, with me being part of the experiment, in psychic communication, it was clear to everyone present at the most successful of these that the speaking part, the actual words, account for about 4%, if that, of the actual communication, believe it or not. The real stuff is being transferred between us through the sound waves, obviously through energy, through frequency, in other words. And our conscious minds are not aware of that. The point of this is that, yeah, the words are just to kind of entrance each other, keep us occupied while we sit with each other, because it takes time for the sound to carry and do all the stuff. And that's where the love is carried. And there is no limit to the amount of influence you have. Your field, your energy field, the field of your experience and your influence is potentially limitless. It can be as big as the whole universe. It really depends on how open-hearted you are towards every sentient being, because if you can let it stretch all the way out, your heart all the way open, the field will be as big as the universe. And everything in your field is susceptible to your will. That's how it works. And when we join together, like we sit like this around the world and we join our fields and we have a more or less common intention, we can do something quite powerful. It will have an effect. So that's my personal reason that I love doing these. It's the chance to affect the collective positively. And the beauty of it is that we get rewarded for that. It comes back to us multiplied. And all the things that you want for yourself or you need for yourself will come far more easily when you begin by starting off caring for everyone with your magic. So that's what I was saying, doing magic, manifesting, it's got to involve everyone. It can't be just about you. Well, it can, but it's I say pointless really. Maybe it's just a phase, all about you, me, like getting everything I need. We know that we've got to get what we need. We don't want to be self-sacrificial, but the point is to serve the flow. I can't tell you what your point is, but I'm saying, for me, as I see it, as a follower of this Taoist way for many decades now, it seems to me that the point is to serve the flow, to serve the Tao, if you like. And that means to serve you, because the Tao is informing you. And I don't know how I serve. I just make myself present to be helpful as best as I can with whatever skills I have. And I say, if we start this on that basis, we're standing in good relation to existence, and our magic will work. The basis of doing this magic is what I call the miracle. Now, miracles are tricks of the light. That's what it means. It means a trick of the light. The idea that the Tao is that great conjurer in the sky. And there's one of the nicknames for the Tao is the great swindler for that reason, because it creates this amazing illusion, this highly complex, multi-level, multi-dimensional illusion of there being these infinite fragments of existence which talk with each other and or fight with each other and what have you. Whereas in fact, there's really just one presence. That's it. We assume the one presence gets utterly bored doing nothing for eternity, therefore is compelled, as it would seem, to manifest as this kind of display of fractures, this multiplicity of parts apparently no longer joined to each other. The game of hide and seek that it plays is that actually they are joined, but it's like a game. I know you see it, no, you don't. The miracle is that any of this exists at all. By acknowledging the miracle that any of this exists, including me, you, and our ability to discern that there's something going on here, let alone communicate about it. By acknowledging this miracle of existence, which we so easily forget, go numb on, just, yeah, miracles, you know, carry on. By being aware of the miracle, the poignancy, the power of the miracle, it opens up the miracle flow. Once you start seeing everything as miraculous, miracles start happening more and more, bigger and bigger, better and better. The tricks of the light, you know, we're all conjurers, we're all magicians, in other words. We make these things happen with our will. Now, it's not all straightforward. It's not like I sit and manifest with my mind and then everything just starts happening. It's messy. Life is messy. It takes you this way, that way, this way, that way. But you will find the result that you want occurring in the fullness of time. The part of the game is it only really works if you don't care whether it works or not. And the reason you don't care is not because you're churlish or, you know, nonchalant or blasé, or because you've got something better to do. The reason you don't care is because you are mindful. You're mindful of the fact that you already have the greatest miracle there is. You're alive and you're aware of it. Everything on top of that is bonus for everything. Avoiding inconvenience, avoiding physical pain, avoiding discomfort of any kind, avoiding immobility, you know, avoiding everything you don't want to have happen to you. That, and managing to do that is merely a bonus on top, because knowing the gift of life and knowing you have it, all those kind of things that happen, the trials and tribulations, which are inevitably followed by the opposite anyway, and vice versa, they're just coloration. They are what make it interesting to be watching the show for a lifetime, and maybe lifetime after lifetime. But the need to avoid this and the need to get that dies down considerably when you have genuine mindfulness, mindful of who and what you really are. The Taoist approach to which, in my opinion, which is biased, is probably not, if not only the best, but the only one really that actually is proper. Because as far as I know, and I'm sure I'm being ignorant here, I'm sure there's many other ways and approaches that are valid, but I haven't come across any. And the Taoist format is fail-safe. It's about positioning yourself differently inside your body. By positioning yourself correctly inside your body, you have power, you have presence, and you have awareness of, you have perspective. We'll talk about that in a minute. So it's not just an intellectual process of being mindful. It's a visceral, physical sensation. When you have that, you can't fail but to be feeling, the word would be, I suppose, fulfilled in each and every moment, to the extent you're not bothered by how it's going to proceed from here. You just assume it will continue being more and more beautiful. That's your intention. but you're not particularly bothered if it does this or does that, because you just know it will do what it needs to do and carry you along. And that, if you give it its space to do that, will result in a most magnificent, result. I don't know the word result really, it's a bit kind of prosaic, but develop, a scenario that is just more beautiful and amazing than you could possibly imagine. If you try to contrive it and make it happen, you limit it. And you know how we want things on the material plane for a variety of reasons, to show other people how clever we are, or that we're not stupid, because we think that if we got wall-to-wall luxury, it will protect us from, climate change or social unrest or whatever, or we'll live forever like that, whatever it is. Or if we're in a relationship, everything's going to be all right then, everything will be fine, everything will be fine then. If we've got loads and loads of money, we'll never worry about money again, everything will be fine, we'll be fine. And actually, none of these things are true. I know this from experience, and I know it from helping so many people. It's not true, because everything manifests, has its yin and its yang. Everything is a double-edged sword. A relationship, for example, it can be beautiful at times, and it can be really difficult at other times. You've got to work at making it balanced, because you've got to communicate all the time. And oftentimes it's really difficult to do that if it's things you don't really want to, and so on and so on and so on. You can be a lot lonelier with somebody than on your own, and all of that stuff. So I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying, yeah, it'll be amazing, but then it'll also be, say you really love somebody, like it's so acute. There'll also be that awful fear that there's something bad's going to happen to them, or they'll leave you, or so on and so forth. Whatever you get physically in the physical world will have its two sides. When you have loads of money, you've got to deal with having loads of money. You've got to have a wealth manager to tell you where to stick it. You've got to make the right decisions, or you fuck it up. You've got people banging on your door every minute asking you for money, because that's what happens. You've got to deal with all of that. You've got to deal with the envy of people, and so on and so forth. So yeah, having loads of money is great, but it's also got its downside. I could go on. It doesn't really matter what it is. It can be beautiful, everything can be ugly. It just depends which side you're looking at it from. But all these things, they do have both. Everything in the material world has its two sides, which doesn't mean you avoid it. At the same time, it means you don't have to rush towards it. You honour it as interesting phenomena. You honour it as potential boons and blessings, privileges and what have you. But you don't have to crave it and go for it. You can let it be. If it doesn't happen, fine, something else will happen. The other thing is you don't have to judge your worth by what you imagine you look like in the eyes of others, because their opinions are only opinions. They like the breeze, it comes this way, it goes that way. They're only interested really in themselves anyway, and they don't really care about you in that sense. So there's no point really judging yourself according to what you think the imaginary committee of society would be judging you by. You don't have to judge yourself at all. The fact that the Tao sees fit, call it the Tao if you want to call it whatever you like, sees fit to manifest itself as you, who are you to argue with that? If the creative presence of the universe itself deems it right to kind of come through as you've got to trust that it knows what it's doing. Therefore, you have worth. You're beyond that kind of judgment. You're valid, and that's all there is to it. We need to come to this magic from there as well. So we're not comparing ourselves to each other. We're not in the competitive realm. We're in the creative realm doing this. So that's really what I want to do, is have a little process with you to focus on you manifesting what you need, and extending that out to include all of humanity, to make something beautiful happen for everyone. Because if everyone has something beautiful happen to them, it doesn't matter who they are, what they're doing, how bad it is, something beautiful happens to them, it will cut through the ugliness. It will cut through the violence, the cruelty, the darkness, whatever. It will cut through the stupidity, the ignorance, the imbecility, and so on. Something beautiful happens for everyone that makes them remember who they are, what they really are. That causes a shift. So that's what I'm wishing for. That's the gist of it. That something beautiful happens for everyone strong enough that each person go, wow. And it come right out of left field, totally unexpected, and be beyond the usual realm of criteria which, you know, which would limit it by judging it. Something that really blows everyone's mind, personally, like a really beautiful thing happens to everyone on the planet. How about that? What a nice idea. Talking of which, settle yourself as comfortably as you can. As you'll see from me, I'm not sort of doing a sitting up straight thing. You don't have to. Just make sure that your spine is elongated, no matter what your position is. So if you're just leaning like that, lengthen the spine up out of it. And when you do that, you'll anyway want to kind of balance out. So try and get yourself as even left and right as you can without getting extreme about it. Let the back of the neck be long, like lift the back of the head. Let the chin drop a little bit and feel the length in your spine all the way from your coccyx at the base of the spine to the crown of your head. Get a feeling of the shoulders dropping and broadening out. Dropping, broadening out. Let your shoulder blades move away from each other. When we were birds, presumably, I mean, I know we weren't ourselves, but when what we came from were birds, if they were, well, they must have been, because we got these shoulder blades, and the shoulder blades are what the wings attach. Oh, I know, yeah, we could have been angels, right? So when we were angels, if you like that better, we had, you know, the wings came out the shoulder blades. It's a feeling of having these big fat wings, yeah, big fat angel wings that pull your shoulders down and outwards a bit, and that opens your heart up in the front. It opens up this space in the middle of the chest, through which your beauty, the unique gift you have in your soul for the world, is then able to shine, to radiate for the benefit of everyone. Because this love, that this beauty in you, when it's freely radiating, this is the lubricant. This is the lubricant that kind of oils the machinery that allows the miracles to happen. Just bear in mind that the miracle, whatever miracle it is, more or less, most anyway, will come to you through the agency of other people. People will deliver the miracle to the result of the miracle to you. So what kind of keeps the mechanism between everyone moving freely is this love. But you don't do it for that. You don't do it because you're going to get miracles. You do it because just to give, just to let it go. You invest generously in the collective. While all this is going on, while you're aware of this, you become aware that you have muscles all through your body, and your muscles need to be really soft and relaxed when you're in repose, like now. There's no reason to have tense muscles anywhere in the body. So doing a quick scan through the body, be aware of wherever you are holding yourself more rigid than you need to be, and stop doing it immediately. Like back of the neck, shoulders, arms, forearms, buttocks, legs, calves, feet, face, chest, belly, groin. Let it all soften and let go. And just be here, unguarded for now, unguarded by the usual kind of tension. And just get that thing, it's like blinking in the light, arriving. Attend to your breathing. Stop holding your breath and allow the breath to flow freely in and out. Knowing it as the elixir of life itself, which is what it is. As each in-breath brings you the next moment of life. You then concentrate on breathing out to expel the old, which is your sacrifice, your offering. And then in return, as the belly relaxes, the next breath comes in of itself. It's the next moment of life. So the breath is the elixir of life. Honor it as that. Feel it moving in and out through your mouth, through your nose, like silk being reeled from a cocoon. So you start to appreciate the quality of it. And just doing that, your mind immediately conforms to that and becomes more silken, smoother, quieter. The weight of all the thoughts in the head and the feelings in the chest and belly really needs to succumb to the pull of gravity. So allow the weight of all your thoughts and all the feelings that go with them to drop down into your pelvic floor and just rest there. And immediately you feel yourself with more gravitas. You're just weighted to the ground. You're honoring the power of gravity, which is possible because what you're sitting on is this relatively thin surface of a sphere that is spinning on its axis right now at 1,000 miles an hour, 1,600 kilometers an hour, while orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour, 100,000 kilometers an hour right now. And that's what we're succumbing to when we sink. Beneath this thin crust is this nuclear powered engine, really. It's as hot as the surface of the sun. I mean, it's powerful. And that's what we're on. We're on a spaceship that is zooming around the sun through space. How exciting. That's what happens when we sink the weight like this. And then differentiate between the arena of activity and sensation and experience occurring in the front sector of your body, like everywhere forwards of your ear holes and the side seams of your body. That's your front part, and the back part, which is everywhere rear of the ears and the side seams. Now, the front part is where we tend to habitually be until we break that habit, because the sense organs all face the forwards, so we perceive life, which is a riveting and challenging affair, to be occurring in front of us. And it's natural just to come into the front of the face and the body, front of the head and the body, to be one with it all, to interact with it all, engage. And that's okay, but the problem with that is that the environment of the front of the body, which will affect you and you will identify with it and therefore take on these qualities, it's an insecure place because the front of the body is unprotected. There's this big, massive, gaping space where there's no bone. The eyes, the throat, it's really vulnerable. The groin, vulnerable. And because it's vulnerable, the atmosphere is insecure. It's an atmosphere of fear, anxiety. It's also very busy because all the function of the organs is occurring there, all the noise that goes on with that, the bowels and so on. But more crucially, the forebrain is where we run the internal narrative by which we describe the world we're perceiving to make it fit into the parameters of the story we ourselves have developed since we were old enough to think, by which we explain reality and mistake for reality, even though it's not, it's a description of reality. And we imagine all sorts of things, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them scary, some of them pleasing. And we react in the front of the body, in the belly, in the chest, to the stories that we're telling ourselves. And this is a very kind of noisy activity that goes on constantly. There's always a conflict between the different voices in the head, the part of you that wants to be altruistic, the part of you that wants to be selfish, the part of you that wants to be like an animal, the part of you that wants to be cultured, the part of you that wants to be kind, the part of you that doesn't give a fuck. And these voices are in constant conflict with each other. And there's the adjudicator, the superconscious, which sits above and goes, well, probably better if you do that. Then there's the doubter, yeah, but what if that, it goes on, it gets ever more complex. And there's no way you can ever resolve that by thinking it through. No matter how utterly brilliantly genius you are, you will never ever resolve that by thinking it through. It's impossible. You can suppress it, you can discipline it to go certain ways, but you will never overcome the noise that comes off that forebrain activity. What the Taoists discovered was no point trying to do that. Much better, more efficient, to actually return to your rightful home within, which is in your back. The back is strong. It's well protected. The muscles are really strong. The spine is the strongest, most solid bit of the whole body. The back of the skull is pretty strong. The back of you is strong, and therefore it's secure. Being secure, it's not agitated, it's still. Being still, it's pretty silent. Being silent, it's relaxing. Relaxing, it's clear. The space is clear. Learning to be in the back instead of the front, you acquire these properties instead. You become still and silent and empty. In other words, ready to receive from the gifts of the universe, rather than being so full of all the noise that there's no room for gifts to come to you. Being in the back, you are able to marshal your intention clearly. You're able to discern what your true nature is really intending in any given moment, and be able to embody that intention, as well as the will to bring it into being. However, the rear brain, the back of the head, which is where you need to sit your mind, lean it up against the rear wall of the skull, because that's where you've got the power place. That's where you get perspective from. You're able to see the show from behind, as it were. That's much more intelligent part of the brain anyway. It's the hunter-gatherer part of the brain. And those guys and women had to be a lot more alert than we are to what was really going on, as opposed to the stories that we all get lost in. Because it wasn't a matter of accumulating and saving things up and then being the richest person or the cleverest or whatever. It was, you live by your wits from moment to moment. So you had to be really in the moment. There was no messing about with plans or regrets or nostalgia or whatever. You had to be in the moment to survive and to thrive. The rear brain, the hunter-gatherer brain, it's the subconscious. It knows everything. It's much more skilled at operating in the world, negotiating the world than the front brain is. Just far more intelligent. So the Taoists figured this out, that if you, and I say return to it because in the womb, when you take form as an embryo, at a cellular level, that's where you start. You start with being a spine and you grow outwards from there. So this is a knack that you learn through practice, mostly just by remembering it. Be in my back, be in my back, be in my back. Instead of being in the front, being in the front, being in the front. And you remember, especially when you're being particularly agitated by what's going on or you perceive going on in your life. You remember it then. You go like in the back, in the back, in the back. And you get in the back and immediately you've got your perspective and you can decide how you want things to go rather than being controlled by or feeling like a victim of circumstances. You're able to take responsibility for your experience. This is crucial. i.e. you're able to fully respond to the gift of life rather than be reacting all the time to nonsense, essentially. Now, if you do this, you will find that the first effect of it is you feel somewhat removed. You've gone into transcendence, so you're no longer part of the noise and the swim of humanity at first. So how you counteract that is by being sure to keep your heart open in the front, because that opening of the heart connects you at soul level to everybody. And it's a much better way to be connected than through the personality, or what people say is the ego. So this is now we're here, we've arrived. And the front self is in all its broken glory, we must have compassion for. We must have compassion for the front self. It's very hard to be a front self. It's a flimsy existence at best, and very transient, well, scary. So have compassion for the front self that you yourself actually have constructed since you were born. Brilliant piece of art, have compassion for it. But as you sit in the back, decide what you want to inject into the collective mix? What qualities do you want to inject? Me, myself, I want to inject humility. I want to inject empathy. I want to inject kindness. I want to inject respect. I want to inject wisdom. And I want to inject absolute delight and sensitivity. These are, and strength. These are the qualities I'm wanting to inject into the collective mix. You decide what qualities you want to inject. They may be the same as those, they may be variations, whatever. And see us now as a ring of archangels, huge, magnificent beings in a circle outside of the usual 4 dimensions, around the planet, around the atmosphere of Earth. And there's enough of us, and we're big enough to be able to hold hands around the Earth. Far out in space, we're that big. And we're aware that even this is an illusion, and that the Tao, the primary generative force, there's only really one. But this is a nice game of hide and seek, and it's nice to be archangels. It's good fun. So we continue doing this one. And the planet in our midst, way out there, down in the middle of the circle, about the size, it looks to us like the size of a football, all green and blue, lush, white, stormy, clear, movement, stillness, all of it going on, spinning on its axis. We can see it there. And it's remarkable to be able to see it. And we're aware that on its surface and flying above it, under its seas and in mountains and walking around, running, driving, cycling, scooting, rock climbing, fighting, healing, making love, just moving away from people, coming together with people, laughing, crying, shouting, whispering, all of it is going on its humanity, surrounded by all sorts of other creatures as well. But let's look at humanity, because they're the ones that have got the dominance there now. And they're definitely in need of a bit of healing. We can see that. They're definitely in need of some healing down there. And what could be better than manifesting a beautiful occurrence for absolutely every single one of them, without exception, like instantaneous manifestation. And in each in our own way, have our own version of what something beautiful is. That's what makes it all fun, because it would be a wonderful variety of beautiful things happening. And from our hearts, collectively, we issue forth a very powerful, hugely powerful stream of rose gold light flecked with violet and emerald and aqua, which is streaming like a laser beam through space, through dimensions, onto the surface of the planet, where once it splashes down, it spreads ubiquitously all about. Combined with the similar streams from everyone here, we've immediately splashed it all over the surface of the planet. So although the people there can't see it, we can. The whole surface of the earth is covered in this beautiful rose gold light, this energy, which is already buzzing about and moving at a subatomic level through every single person on the planet, sparking off something beautiful, bit of magic. Something is triggering at the soul level in every single person on the planet that is causing something beautiful to happen in their life. And this something beautiful can be quite a complex something beautiful that brings with it full physical healing, that brings with it a sudden balancing of the bank statements, which brings with it sudden harmony in all relations with everyone in their lives, which brings with it a completely fresh, loving outlook and all hatred thoughts dispersed. And we're seeing something happening, visualizing the surface of the planet with this rose gold light flecked with violet for miracles, that is, and emerald and aqua, permeating the souls of absolutely every single person and every single sentient being on the planet. Now, even though we're pretending, like we see it, we're imagining it, if you like, this is doing it. This is doing it. This is how we operate. We imagine things, it sends an energy to them. And for a moment now, as well as being the angel, be one of the people on the planet, which you are, and feel that energy permeating your body. Still be the angel out in space, but also be the human receiving it in through the back of the head, the whole body being suffused with this rose gold light. And something sparks off, like something's triggered, that is going to cause something beautiful to happen for you, as well as everybody else on the planet. And this doesn't mean that we've become stupid idealists. We know that there's the opposite of that going on as well, but this is so powerful that it actually overcomes the negative. Enough for there to be a genuine shift in humanity at this time, which turns things in a miraculous way and causes some most unexpected development on the world stage, which would indicate to us that we could actually be continuing this human experiment for quite a while longer, successfully, in peace and harmony and plenty. May it be so. You know how it is, you aim for the stars, and if you fall short, that's fine. As long as you kind of make a bit of progress here, which is what I think we've just instigated. Well, that's me. I've come to the end of my channeling there. Oh yeah, I must say to you, there is this sale on, if you've not partaken of it, the Daftly Silly sale that was in honor of Bright Friday. I mean, why Black Friday? And it's for the Taoist manifesting and mindfulness training. This hasn't been a whole big sales technique for that. It's just that's what I'm thinking. That's why I wanted to put those on sale. So I think they're really important. So I want everyone to have them. I mean, they're normally $580 or something together. I think it was that. And you get them for $27 for the two, which is good value. They're really worth it. And it's not about the money. They are really good value. They're brilliant processes which will shift things quite pleasantly for you. They're fun to do, but they really do, they work as well. So you bear that in mind. Also, Sam, our Sam, who runs Nook Tracks, the record label that we're starting very soon for all the Amted microdoses, asked me if I would say, look out for the sharing post, which sounds like, she said it sounds like something in a school playground, but the sharing post is going to be a post that we're going to do to get everyone to start talking about Amted with the microdoses when they start coming out, because I never say that to anyone, and we need to, because the reason being, this is really for the younger people who are really in dire need of this stuff right now. I really want to get to them with the help, and the microdoses are a really good entree into that. So you'd be helping with all of that, and blah, 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 and blee, blee, blee. So like, that is me done. I've said everything I wanted to say and needed to say, and was somehow obliged to say. I'm going to tell you soon about a friend of mine called Katie Brockhurst, who has a book out. She wrote one book about social media a while back. This is the second one. She's a total genius, and when I'll let you know what it is, you need to check that out. Oh, and I've made a really gorgeous gift for you, an Amted double microdose. It's 5 minutes 44 seconds long, called Something Coming. And I mean, I've finished it. It's taken a while to make this, on and off, over a few weeks actually. Usually I just bang them out. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, but it took a while to do because it really was quite complex, but very beautiful. And I was up quite late last night finishing it, and then just couldn't stop playing it on repeat. It's so gorgeous. So that is your Christmas gift that's coming to you when Spanky has finished the video for it. Sometime, all being well, next week. A happy holidays gift. Really, I wish you that every day of your life is a happy holiday, holy day, day where you're in touch with the presence, is for me. And now I'm going to ask Whirly to take over for a moment and see if there's any well, if anybody has any questions or comments that we need to look at. Whirly, whirly.
Hey, Barefoot. And that visualization meditation was absolutely incredible. Thank you.
Oh, thanks
Wow,
for saying.
it was amazing.
You're brilliantly reassuring, because I never know. You know.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Marcia, a couple of comments, no questions yet. Marcia White says, thank you for all your great sales as well as for this webinar. Love to everyone.
Thank you, Marcia.
Kiss. And Taya says, this was amazing. Thank you so very much, dear amazing Doc Stephen. Much love to you and all. Wishing you an awesome December to everyone.
Yeah,
and
you
wow,
too,
and wow, can't wait. I think that's probably for the gift, the microdose gift, which I've had a sneak preview of, and is absolutely incredible, I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's it. There's lots of hearts from Rainbow Woods.
Oh, hello, Woodsy. Oh, bless you and all your hearts. Nice one. Hey, Woodsy, your track's going to come out in the new year sometime. It's on there. I think it's April, early April. I think, or March, can't remember now. Can't remember the schedule. But yeah, Amped Head versus Woodsy. It's brilliant, that track. Anyway.
And there's, a comment from Anna, or Aina, not sure which, Cottrell. And she says she totally felt the energy all over her body. Much love to all.
Fantastic. I'm so glad. Good.
That's all the comments, no questions.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Oh, do I? I think, just clarifying, with the mindful manifesting, somebody asked, I remember now, which came first? And is it that you've got to be mindful in the back so that you can manifest? Or then that is just, mindful first.
Yeah, I think so. I do. I think you have to be sitting right inside your body to be in the right place to do anything. And then, you see, manifesting is not like an activity that is separate from, all right, let's do some manifesting. We're always manifesting constantly. It's just, the Taoist thing is just making the whole process much slicker and more reliable and not so random, because oftentimes we're manifesting from the negative part of ourselves, the destructive part, or the part that the painful, the in pain part that needs to be heard, or whatever, because we're not mindful of who we are. We've lost that cognizance. So yeah, I mean, I've been working with quite a lot of people, and I at the moment I'm getting that there is a lot of distress around, probably because Christmas coming. You know, it's that combination of, you know, the world being so topsy-turvy feeling, and Christmas being that one, I think the one time of the year that you go, yeah, that landmark is Christmas. You gauge yourself by it. And then people get afraid of being lonely and the anticlimax of it all, nonsense of it all, if you like. And also, you know, set against the world in turmoil, the contrast between the instability and that, the stability of a constant like Christmas. Maybe it's that, you know, bringing it up. But I'm getting a lot of intense action going on today with people that are helping and stuff. So if you are feeling a bit like fraud, I say even more important to be in your back and clear about your intention, because you can shift it with your intention. I promise you can.
There's Tim Gunning. Question, should I listen to, with discount, should I listen to each in turn? Not quite sure what you're getting at there, Tim. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely do it in order. Yeah.
Yeah, and he clarifies, he says again, so do mindfulness training first, then manifesto.
Or do them at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, one in the morning, one at night, that would be fun.
Okay. Margarita says, Steinbeck or Stein something, I can't see the last of it. Hey Doc, among the perks of the fundraising campaign, there is make your own track. Can you say more about what that means, please?
Yeah, that is going to be, I know there's a make your own track. What it actually means is we're going to do a session like one of these where I'll have it all, the camera will be on the studio, and we will do a jam. Basically, we'll decide through democratic means what tempo, we'll play around till we find a tempo that everyone's comfortable with. And then I'll construct the beat, and then we'll find a bass sound. I mean, I'm pretty good at this, so, it won't make it difficult for you. We'll come up with a bass line that everyone's happy with. And then this is my fancy anyway. I don't know if it's possible for everyone to be happy with anything, but I've got a feeling we'll find it. The tunes will reveal itself. Then we'll get the frequency design right, and you'll see how I do it. I'll show you, and then we'll kind of get some nice background ambience of, people noises and what have you. That's how I generally tend to work. And then they'll put the top line of melody playing and stuff, or various top lines for a bit of entertainment and fun. And then we will go through for everybody what are the issues that you're each facing, what you need the affirmation for, construct the affirmation, and I think, what we'll do is we'll come up with an affirmation script that covers everyone's issues, because like that, you tend to cover every issue that you could ever have, because we've all got pretty much the same issues really in different degrees. So there'll be at the end of it a track which will be kind of that you've taken part in. And if that doesn't work, I'll find a different way of doing it so it's a bit more individuated. But I think it should. It should. Oh yeah, what we could do actually is could take each of the separate affirmations anyway and just do separate tracks for each person. So each one, that's it. Each person gets their bespoke track. I think that's how it'll work. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as you see, that's kind of fumbled through a bit because I've not done it before, but that's kind of like the plan.
Great. And Eleni, sorry, it's Dimitri Kopoulos says, does this love reach our loved ones in heaven?
Oh, what a beautiful question, Dimitri. I'm sure of it. Interesting you say that, because in the Taoist practice, every day it's really important to honour your ancestors, and when you do, as if they're standing behind you, you're entering in the eternal realm where they are all alive. They're still present, i.e. heaven. And by honouring them in whatever way it occurs to you to do it, you're kind of healing them. The Taoist thing is you hear them chattering because it wakes them up and they like it, they're happy. And from that, you get a sense of energy coming through from the past, through the DNA to you, almost as if you're healing your own DNA. It's rather interesting. And yeah, they do. I can't say for sure how everything is, but it feels to me very much like they do feel it. Yeah, because they're present. They are. They don't go anywhere, really. They're present. They feel the love, yeah.
Yeah. And Jacqueline Ridley says, hi, how can we keep our hearts open in our own chaos? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. You mean in their own chaos? You mean when the heart is in chaos, how do you keep it open? Well, I'd say that when the heart is in chaos, it's not actually the heart that's in chaos, it's the forebrain that's in a chaotic state, and that's translating as a kind of disturbance in the chest. So really, it's a matter of physically or psychophysically getting a feeling of lifting the upper breastbone, as if lifting the hood that's over the mouth of a cave. And by doing that, picturing the two halves of the breastplate opening out sideways and breathing in and out directly through what you imagine to be a diaphanous veil in the middle of the chest. And that settles the heart. That's free of all the thinking, of all the stories. The heart just as an energetic phenomenon, and then it's settled. And the intention would be, when you're in chaos, to be clear and orderly, I guess, and relaxed, because you found yourself again. You've got your view. So you picture, that's your intention, for example. You make a shape out of it, like a little ball, for example, and you put that down behind your breastplate to spin inside there and be incubated by the heart energy. And that will, well, that's one way of doing it anyway. I hope that makes some sense.
Great, thanks. And Eleni says again, this way does shift at a soul level. It does matter. Much love and peace.
Yeah, thank you for saying. I agree with you.
And Elizabeth Lukowski says, thank you. And good point. And also Saturn and Jupiter doing strange stuff about feeling strange, I think, at the moment.
Very true. And there's also a massive thing on the 11th of January, isn't there? Where a big astrological lineup that hasn't happened for 8 million years or whatever it is, going to be very, very important. Breakthrough time, I think. Yeah.
And that's it. There's no more comments or questions.
Okay, so based on the assumption that probably will not be another one of these before January, to look out for emails and messages like that, because the gift is beautiful and I want you to have it, and I want you to know that I'm loving you. The love is continuous. And I mean, I'm not saying me, I'm not the source of the love comes through, but it's coming through all the time for you. So thank you for being there to share it with. And thank you, Whirly, you're brilliant. And yeah, that's it, and that's all. I will see you all very shortly. Thanks for playing and being here. Toodle pip.